Imagine you walk into a dealership in a couple of years, and suddenly the usual suspects, Tesla, Hyundai, Volkswagen, are no longer the only game in town. Instead, there's a whole new wall of electric SUVs and sedans with insane range, brutal charging speeds, and price tags that make our local brands look a bit nervous. That's exactly the future we're talking about today. Welcome to AutoPedia. And in this video, we're diving into 10 Chinese EVs that have everything it takes to absolutely shake up and potentially destroy the current car market hierarchy. We're not talking about vague concept cars. These are real models that are already on sale in China, Europe, or other markets, with full specs, real batteries, real WLTP figures, and, most importantly, real prices. We'll break down what they offer, where their pricing sits, and how that would translate into Canadian dollars if and when they land here. So buckle up, grab a coffee, and let's go through them one by one. Let's start our list with a car that's already making waves in Europe and Australia, a model that shows exactly how serious the Chinese premium game has become. Number 10. Zeekr 7X. Zeekr is Geely's premium EV brand, and the Zeekr 7X is their family SUV designed to go head-to-head with cars like the Tesla Model Y, BMW iX3, and Mercedes EQE SUV. On paper, it looks like it was built specifically to humiliate the older players. The 7X is a mid-size SUV, around 4.78 meters long and just under 1.7 meters high, sitting on Geely's SEA electric platform with a very modern, clean design and frameless doors that immediately tell you this is not a budget car. Technically, the key word here is 800 volt. The entire high-voltage system is built on an 800-volt architecture, which allows the 7X to support absolutely wild DC fast-charging speeds. With the big 100 kilowatt-hour Qilin battery pack, Zeekr targets up to about 615 kilometers of WLTP range, and thanks to charging power of up to around 420 kilowatts DC, you're talking about a 10 to 80% top-up in roughly a quarter of an hour under ideal conditions. The smaller 75 kilowatt-hour Golden Brick pack still supports 800-volt architecture with WLTP range in the roughly 480 kilometer region and DC charging up to about 450 kilowatts, which is beyond what any mainstream Canadian EV currently offers. Performance is just as aggressive. In its all-wheel drive performance trim, the 7X can do 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in around 3.8 seconds. That's supercar territory in a family SUV. Even the rear-wheel drive models sit in the 6-second range, which is more than enough shove for Canadian highways and mountain passes. Inside, Zeekr goes full Scandinavian lounge. You get a huge mini LED central display, a wide augmented reality head-up display, and a fully digital instrument cluster, all driven by a Qualcomm 8295 chip. Premium variants bring Nappa leather, heated and ventilated seats, massage functions, and an in-house Zeekr Sound Pro system with over 20 speakers and more than 2,000 watts of power. It's the sort of spec list you'd expect from a six-figure German SUV, not from a newcomer. Now, the price. In Australia, Zeekr lists the rear-wheel drive base 7X from about 57,900 Australian dollars, the long-range rear-wheel drive at around 63,900, and the all-wheel drive performance at roughly 72,900. Converting that with current exchange rates and then mentally adjusting for Canadian import costs, you're looking at something in the mid to upper 60,000 Canadian dollar bracket for the base car if Zeekr plays aggressively, right in the crosshairs of the Model Y long range, but with more range and faster charging. If Zeekr can get anything close to that pricing into Canada, the 7X becomes a serious problem for established premium brands. It undercuts traditional luxury while over-delivering on tech and charging. Next up, a model that could be the sweet spot family EV for Canadian buyers. Number 9. XPeng G6. The XPeng G6 is a mid-size crossover that sits roughly in the same segment as a Model Y or Hyundai Ioniq 5, but its hardware is straight out of the next league. Xpeng builds the G6 on its SEPA 2.0 platform, a lightweight, highly rigid EV architecture that also uses an 800-volt battery system. According to Xpeng, the torsional stiffness of the platform is over 41,600 Newton meters per degree. That's a serious number. which translates into a solid, quiet body and precise handling. Battery options are simple: a roughly 66 kilowatt-hour LFP pack with around 435 kilometers of WLTP range, or a larger NCM pack with a net capacity of about 87.5 kilowatt-hours and an advertised WLTP range between 550 and 570 kilometers in the long-range variant. Both versions sit on an 800-volt system and can charge from 10 to 80% in under 20 minutes, with peak DC power up to around 280 kilowatts. Power output for the rear-wheel drive models ranges from about 190 to 210 kilowatts, giving 0 to 100 times in the mid-6-second range. In other words, quick enough to feel genuinely sporty without turning every on-ramp into a launch control event. Inside, the G6 is very much a tech lounge: a large central touchscreen, a separate driver display, an advanced X-Pilot driver assist suite, and over-the-air updates that continuously add features. Heated and ventilated front seats, heated rear seats, a panoramic glass roof, wireless charging pads, and a strong premium sound system are all part of the picture. Xpeng's Australian site doesn't show a simple base price number in the same way a Canadian configurator would, but they clearly position the G6 as luxury without the price tag, below cars like the G9, and direct imports from premium brands. In Europe, Xpeng has previously targeted pricing that undercuts equivalent German SUVs by a noticeable margin. So if the G6 arrived here, a realistic guess would be a starting point clearly below the Zeekr 7X and very competitive with a well-spec'd Model Y or Ioniq 5. Potentially in the high 40s to low 50s Canadian dollar range depending on tariffs and freight. Combine that kind of pricing with 800-volt charging and long real-world range, and the G6 is exactly the sort of rational no-brainer that can pull Canadians out of their usual brands. From the mid-size family SUV, let's go one size up into the full-on premium flagship territory. Number 8. Xpeng G9. If the G6 is the Tesla Model Y rival, the G9 is Xpeng's answer to the Model X, BMW iX, and Mercedes EQE SUV. This is a big, luxurious SUV built on the same 800-volt platform, but with more power, more battery, and more toys. In Europe, the official configurator for the new G9 lists 3 main powertrain variants: a rear-wheel drive standard range, a rear-wheel drive long range, and an all-wheel drive performance model. The RWD standard gets a roughly 78.2 kilowatt-hour battery and about 502 kilometers of WLTP range. The long range uses a 92.2 kilowatt-hour pack for up to around 585 kilometers. All of them run on an 800-volt architecture and can charge from 10 to 80% in around 12 minutes. With DC charging power up to about 445 to 525 kilowatts, depending on the version. Power is serious as well. The rear-wheel drive versions offer around 258 kilowatts and 0 to 100 in the mid-6-second range, while the all-wheel drive performance variant jumps to roughly 423 kilowatts and does 0 to 100 in about 4.2 seconds in a big family SUV. Inside, Xpeng loads the G9 with dual 14.96-inch screens, a separate instrument display, a powerful Qualcomm Snapdragon 8295 chip, an advanced surround sound system, and a premium interior with heated and ventilated seats all around, ambient lighting, and a panoramic glass roof. The X-Pilot Assist 2.5 suite brings adaptive cruise, lane keep, traffic sign recognition, cross-traffic warning, and a full set of parking aids backed by high-resolution cameras and radars. Now the price. In Austria, the G9 RWD long range sits at about 59,600 euros, and the AW performance tops out around 63,600 euros. Using the current euro to Canadian exchange rate of roughly 1.61, that's about 96 to 102,000 Canadian dollars before any local incentives or import charges. That might sound high, but remember, you're getting 800-volt charging with up to 525 kilowatt DC capability, real 500-plus kilometer range, and a spec sheet that easily competes with high-end German EVs that often cost more in Canada. If Xpeng brings the G9 in with aggressive lease or subscription offers, it could give Canadian luxury dealers some sleepless nights. Next, let's step away from SUVs for a moment and look at a sporty sedan that shows how mature Chinese EVs have become. Number 7. Xpeng P7 Plus. The P7 Plus is the evolution of Xpeng's original P7 sedan, a low, sleek four-door designed to compete directly with the Tesla Model 3 and Model S depending on trim. On Xpeng's official site, the P7 Plus is positioned as a tech-heavy, driver-focused sedan with multiple screens, a 15.6-inch central display, a digital instrument cluster, and even an optional rear entertainment screen. The long-range rear-wheel drive model, according to independent testing data, uses a roughly 75 kilowatt-hour battery, delivering a real-world range band between about 325 and 635 kilometers, depending on conditions and driving style. 0 to 100 kilometers per hour sits in the 6-second range for the RWD version, with more powerful dual-motor variants dropping that significantly. Technically, the P7 Plus doesn't scream as loudly as the G6 or G9 about 800-volt platforms, but Xpeng still focuses on efficient thermal management, strong DC charging, and a very aerodynamic body to stretch the range. The drag coefficient is extremely low, helping efficiency on long Canadian highway runs. Interior tech is classic Xpeng. Xsmart OS with always-connected navigation, over-the-air updates, advanced voice control, and an XPilot driver assist suite that brings adaptive cruise, lane keeping, and automated lane change in supported markets. Price-wise, the P7 Plus would likely target the heart of the Canadian midsize sedan and compact luxury crossover segment. In China, P7 series cars have historically undercut equivalent Tesla models while offering more equipment as standard. Converted into Canadian dollars, you'd be expecting something in the low to mid-50s before tariffs, a direct hit on Model 3 and on well-loaded compact German sedans. Now, let's move to a brand that isn't traditionally automotive at all, but might be one of the biggest threats to established carmakers. Number 6. Xiaomi YU7. Yes, that's Xiaomi. The same massive consumer electronics company that sells phones, laptops, and smart home gear is now building a serious EV ecosystem, and the YU7 is its first SUV. Xiaomi calls it a fully electric SUV built on an 800-volt high-voltage silicon carbide platform, with the YU7 Max Edition reaching a peak system voltage close to 897 volts. From a technical perspective, Xiaomi goes straight for the jugular. At the YU7 launch event, they highlighted CLTC range figures of up to 835 kilometers for the standard model, with around 770 and 760 kilometers for the Pro and Max trims. Battery capacities sit in the high 90 kilowatt-hour range, 96.3 or 101.7 kilowatt-hours, and the 800-volt system supports extremely high charging C rates. Xiaomi talks about gaining around 620 kilometers of range in just 15 minutes of fast charging under optimal conditions. Performance is equally wild. The YU7 Max is quoted at up to around 690 metric horsepower, with 0 to 100 in just over 3.2 seconds and a top speed well above 250 kilometers per hour. That's performance SUV territory that heavily undercuts performance versions of the Model Y or German competitors. The interior is, unsurprisingly, very Xiaomi. Huge screens, deep integration with the Xiaomi ecosystem, advanced driver assistance features, branded Xiaomi Pilot, and a design language that feels more like a high-end gadget than a traditional car. And the killer detail. Xiaomi launched the YU7 in China with a starting price around 253,500 yuan. Converted with current rates, that's roughly 50,000 Canadian dollars for a long-range 800-volt high-tech SUV that undercuts a similarly spec'd Model Y. If Xiaomi manages to homologate the YU7 for North America and leverage its existing electronics ecosystem, phones, smart homes, cloud services, it could become the Apple of EVs and seriously tempt Canadian buyers who love tech and value for money. From a tech giant, let's jump back to a pure EV brand that's already present in Europe and eyeing global expansion. Number 5. Nio EL6. Nio positions the EL6 as a smart all-round electric SUV, slightly smaller than the EL7, but still very much in the premium segment. It's roughly 4.85 meters long, with a wheelbase just over 2.9 meters, making it comparable to a BMW X3 in footprint, but with more interior space thanks to its dedicated EV platform. Battery options typically include a 75 kilowatt-hour standard pack and a larger 100 kilowatt-hour pack. Real-world range for the 75 kilowatt-hour version sits in the mid-400 kilometer WLTP band, and the 100 kilowatt-hour variant can stretch beyond 500 kilometers, depending on spec. Like Xpeng and Zeekr, NIO uses sophisticated thermal management to keep charging speeds and performance consistent across temperatures. NIO's calling card, of course, is its battery swap ecosystem. In markets where NIO has stations, you can simply drive into a power swap station and automatically exchange your depleted pack for a charged one in a few minutes. For Canada, that's more of a long-term dream than an immediate reality, but the platform is ready. Inside, the EL6 features NIO's characteristic minimalist, lounge-like interior, with a large central display, a separate driver display, high-quality materials, a panoramic glass roof, and the Nomi digital assistant, a physical, animated head on the dashboard that responds to voice commands and can control navigation, media, and climate. On price, European EL6 pricing without battery purchase starts in the low €50,000 range, with the battery leased separately. Buying the battery outright pushes the price into the mid-70s in euros. Convert that to Canadian dollars at current exchange rates, and you get a spread from roughly 85 to 120,000 Canadian, depending on configuration and business model. That might not destroy the Canadian market in raw price, but its mix of luxury, tech, and the potential of battery swapping makes it a very different ownership experience compared to today's premium EVs. Number 4. NIO EL7. Think of the EL7 as NIO's more muscular flagship SUV, a direct rival to the Audi Q8 e-tron or BMW iX. It uses dual motors with around 480 kilowatts of total power, translating to roughly 650 plus metric horsepower and 0 to 100 in just under 4 seconds. Yet it still offers WLTP range in the low to mid-500s with the larger battery pack. The EL7 combines this performance with NIO's full suite of advanced driver assistance systems, multiple high-resolution cameras, radars, and, in some markets, LiDAR sensors. The infotainment and interior are similar in design language to the EL6 and ET5, minimalist, warm, and heavily digital. In Europe, the EL7 is often offered via subscription rather than traditional purchase, with monthly costs that include the car, service, and access to battery swap stations. For Canada, a model like this could completely change how people think about owning an EV. Imagine paying a monthly fee that gives you the car, the battery, and the fuel infrastructure in one package. Pricing would likely land above the EL6, targeting higher income buyers who might otherwise go for an iX or EQE SUV. Number 3. Nio ET5. The ET5 is NIO's mid-size sedan. Think of it as their answer to the Model 3 and BMW i4. NIO describes it as a smart electric mid-size sedan, blending hypercar DNA with tech-driven aesthetics. A low, sleek body, a shark nose front end, and a panoramic roof. Underneath, you again get the 75 and 100 kilowatt-hour battery options. Independent data puts WLTP range for the 75 kilowatt-hour ET5 around 445 kilometers, with real-world estimates between roughly 300 and 590 kilometers, depending on conditions. The dual-motor setup delivers around 360 kilowatts of power and 0 to 100 in about 4 seconds. Energy consumption is efficient. NIO quotes around 18 to 20 kilohours per 100 kilometers combined WLTP, which matters a lot in Canadian winters where every kilowatt-hour counts. Inside, the ET5 borrows heavily from the EL6 and EL7 in terms of UI and materials, with a large central screen, digital cluster, Nomi assistant, and a focus on a living room vibe rather than a cold tech lab feel. If NIO brings the ET5 here with a flexible battery subscription model, it could severely undercut European premium sedans while offering more range and better tech. A Canadian starting price equivalent somewhere in the high 50s to mid-60s would make a lot of shoppers really reconsider that next German lease. Let's move back into the more mainstream part of the market, because this is where the real volume sits. Number 2. MG S6 EV. MG might sound British, but the modern MG motor is a Chinese-owned brand under Seai, and it's been quietly building a strong EV lineup in Europe. The MG S6 EV is a mid-size electric family SUV that sits above the MG4 and MG S5, aimed directly at families who want space, tech, and range without paying full premium money. On MG Motor Europe's site, the S6 EV is presented as a spacious mid-size family SUV, elegantly finished and packed with practical tech like a 360-degree HD surround view camera, advanced driver assist features, and the MG iSmart connectivity system. It's part of MG's fully electric portfolio alongside the MG4, MG S5 EV, and the IM series. While detailed battery figures are not heavily advertised yet on the Europe landing page, positioning in the range suggests a battery in the high 60 to 80 kilowatt-hour bracket and WLTP range squarely in the 400-plus kilometer zone. With MG's strategy in other models, expect front or all-wheel drive variants, decent DC fast charging speeds, and a very competitive standard equipment list. The real threat from MG isn't headline-grabbing 0 to 100 times, it's value. In markets where MG EVs already sell, they often significantly undercut mainstream European and Korean rivals while offering generous standard equipment and long warranties. If the S6 EV comes to Canada priced below the likes of the Ioniq 5, ID4, and Model Y, say, in the low 40s to high 40s Canadian dollar bracket, depending on spec, it could become the default family EV for a lot of households. Finally, let's talk about a car that might not have the loudest name, but has a brutally clear value proposition. Number 1. Leapmotor C10. Leapmotor is one of the Chinese brands that recently partnered with Stellantis to push into global markets, including Europe, and that's exactly why the C10 is so important for Canada. This is a mid-size SUV, about 4.73 meters long, designed very deliberately to feel like a normal, family SUV with very modern EV tech underneath. On official European sites and dealer pages, the all-electric C10 runs a roughly 69.9 kilowatt-hour battery, WLTP range up to around 425 kilometers, and a 160 kilowatt motor, good for about 218 horsepower. 0 to 100 is in the mid 7-second range, and top speed sits around 170 kilometers per hour, more than enough for Canadian roads. DC fast charging takes the battery from 30 to 80% in about 30 minutes, adding more than 200 kilometers of range in that time under WLTP conditions. The car is built to a very attractive spec level: panoramic fixed-glass roof with electric sunshade, heated and ventilated seats in higher trims, dual-zone climate control, a 10.25-inch driver display, a 14.6-inch central screen with navigation, built-in Wi-Fi and 4G, over-the-air updates, ambient lighting, and a strong safety package with multiple airbags and a full Level 2 ADAS suite branded Leap Pilot. Here's the kicker. Official European dealer pricing for the C10 starts at around €36,848 for the base model, with better-equipped trims still under $40,000. At current exchange rates, that's roughly $59,000 to $65,000 Canadian dollars before incentives. But remember, that's a European price, including local taxes and dealer margins. With localized production, Stellantis distribution, and potential North American assembly in the future, there's room to sharpen that. Imagine walking into a Canadian Jeep or Peugeot dealer that now also offers a Leapmotor C10. Midsize SUV, 400-plus kilometer range, modern tech, and a price that undercuts a lot of the established competition. That's exactly the kind of move that can destroy the comfortable margins of today's ICE crossovers and even some EVs. So, what does all of this mean for the Canadian car market as a whole? First, Chinese EVs are no longer just cheap alternatives. Zeekr, XPeng, Nio, Xiaomi, MG, and Leapmotor are building vehicles with 800-volt architectures, real 500-plus kilometer ranges, thermal management systems sophisticated enough for harsh climates, and interiors that are genuinely competitive with premium European brands. Second, the pricing strategies are aggressive. Whether it's Zeekr undercutting traditional luxury SUVs, XPeng positioning the G6 as luxury without the price tag, Xiaomi launching a long-range SUV at a price below a Tesla Model Y in its home market, or Leapmotor bringing a 400-kilometer SUV to Europe from under €40,000, the pattern is clear. High spec, relatively low price. Third, distribution deals matter. Leapmotor's partnership with Stellantis MG's established dealer network in Europe and XPeng's push into multiple European countries all show that these brands are learning how to play the global game. Homologation, service networks, financing, the boring but crucial stuff that Canadian buyers care about when something goes wrong in February at -20. If and when these 10 models, Zeekr 7X, XPeng G6, XPeng G9, Xpeng P7 Plus, Xiaomi YU7, Nio EL6, Nio EL7, Nio ET5, MG S6 EV, and Leapmotor C10 land in Canada, they won't just be more choices. They'll be a direct challenge to the way the market is currently structured. From how much we pay for range, to how quickly we expect to charge, to how often our cars get new features via software. So here's my question for you. After seeing the specs, the tech, and the pricing of these Chinese EVs, would you seriously consider buying one if it launched in Canada with a solid warranty and a proper dealer or service network? Let me know in the comments which one of these 10 you would put in your driveway, and which Canadian or North American model you think it would replace. If you enjoyed this deep dive and want more global EV content, make sure you subscribe to AutoPedia. Hit the like button and turn on notifications. We've got a lot more coming on the future cars that will shape Canadian roads in the next few years.